everybody. Welcome to this episode of Mismatch. So today we have a fascinating guest on the show. We have Michelle Weger, who is a powerhouse and who's turned life with narcolepsy into a masterclass in resilience, productivity, and creative action. Now, she's an international speaker, productivity expert, and author of Don't Snooze Your Dreams, a #1 bestseller. She's also the founder of Venture Creative Collective, where she and her team build gorgeous websites and automate businesses. She's been on CBC's, CTV's Your Morning, BT, and travels the world with her friend and confidant, her Great Dane service dog, Quinn, who has very much her own fan club in her own right. And because this is mismatched, we're going to get into Michelle's love life as well, because it is equally as fascinating as her business life, where she moved in with her now husband. Get this, 5 days after their first date, okay? And then bought a car 6 weeks later, and then got married all within 7 months. And 5 years later, happily married. I have 1,000,001 questions. And today we're talking marriage-minded dating, strategic love, and how managing a disability has taught her so much. Michelle, Quinn, welcome. I'm so happy to have you guys here.
It's actually 9 years later.
9 years later? Wow. Okay, so even more impressive. I will say, Michelle, first off, I just want to point this out. You made history as the #1 service dog team, so you and Quinn, to compete in the Speaker Slam Grand Slam, and you won the title of #1 Inspirational Speaker of the Year.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your speech was so moving.
Oh, thank you.
It was amazing.
Yeah, everyone has secrets, right? And we think we need to hide them from the world, or else people won't trust us or like us or want to be around us. And so the core of my speech was, what if that secret is the thing that could actually change someone else's life?
Mm-hmm. And I have no doubt that you've changed many people's lives. Firstly, again, thank you for being here with Quinn. You know what? It's funny because when we were emailing, I was going to ask you, is Quinn coming? But then I was like, I don't want her to feel pressured to bring her if she can't. And I don't know where she's coming from. I wasn't sure logistics and whatnot. So anyway, but I'm really happy that she could make it. She's our first dog guest here on Mismatched.
We love being first.
Yeah.
It's boundary breaking,
You
right?
seem to have nailed that, hey? So let's start off with your journey in narcolepsy. And because I feel like this is something, you hear in TV and film and in books even and narratives, but it's not commonly spoken about in day-to-day. And to be honest, I've never met someone with narcolepsy. So tell me how this was discovered.
The thing about narcolepsy is when it's in media, which is why I love opportunities like this, it's always portrayed as the joke. So most recently, it's in the NBC show Stumble, and one of the characters has narcolepsy, and she falls straight backwards like a plank. It doesn't happen like that. If it did, we'd have brain damage every time we fell asleep.
Right.
So with narcolepsy, it's like you charge your phone all night, right? You're sleeping and you wake up, and if you woke up and it's still at 40% battery, never more. That's what my body is like on a good day.
Wow.
Yeah, never more than 40% of the energy of everybody else.
That makes everything really hard, I imagine.
So hard. So the initial first symptoms was that exhaustion. I was so tired all the time. No matter how long I slept, whether it was 7 hours, 9, 12, 14, it would never feel like enough. And of course not. It's 40% of what everyone else is getting for rest.
Right. So how did you kind of advocate for yourself and feeling like this? Because I feel like saying you're tired, maybe a lot of people didn't really take seriously or gave you, I would say, maybe, not very thoughtful remedies to kind of solve something like that. I'm trying to say that kindly.
Yeah, like, have you tried melatonin?
Yeah.
Or cut out gluten, which, look, all those little things help like the tiniest amount, but it doesn't solve a neurological disability, which is what narcolepsy is. So what happened with me is first I would go to the doctor and they were looking at the common things. We call them horses in medicine. So the things that many women in their early 20s have. So low iron, depression, thyroid, all of those were checked. The problem was that after all those came back normal, they went back and just tested those again. Instead of then going on to other things, it was just a circle over and over again.
Gosh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, and so eventually I just got tired of going to the doctor talking about being tired, and I put my energy instead to trying to get by and find ways to work around it as much as I could, because I'd basically given up hope figuring out what was wrong.
I'm sorry to hear that. What were the sorts of things that you were doing?
One example is that in university, I was in a normal science program at first.
But, that's ironic that you're studying science.
Right?
Yeah.
And never heard about narcolepsy. Could have been the easy. I was even in a health sciences program.
Wow.
And a lot of the classes, they're these giant lectures in dark rooms with slides, and I kept falling asleep. Not very good for being able to graduate.
No.
And so I looked at the other programs available and found one called environmental science. And at the time, I know I'm going to get hate here, but I didn't even recycle back then, okay? Like that.
It's okay.
I wasn't doing it out of passion. But that program had field classes and labs. So instead of sitting in a dark room, you were on your feet learning how to identify frogs, for example.
Wow. Well, that's really innovative on your part to think that way of like, okay, so how am I not going to do this?
Yeah. And I think for people, it's not even just about narcolepsy or disability. Even things like ADHD or other neurodiversities, the traditional path doesn't really work for them. And you can either try and shove yourself into that path and most times not succeed, or you can think, what would have to change for it to be successful for me? That's how I think.
And how do you think like that? How do you develop that sort of mindset? Because it's really easy to kind of be forced into something and give up and just deal with it. Because I think a lot of the time we are told, deal with it, suck it up, this is the way it is. Exactly. And you're not really, I don't think it's preached enough to think outside the box.
I agree, it's not. For me, I always look at the risk of the situation. If I kept on the same path, the worst case scenario was that I would fail out of my program, all the money and time would be lost, and I'd go home and live in my mom's basement. Not good. Not desirable. But if I tried to do something different, the worst case was I would fail, lose all the time and money, and live in my mom's basement. So the worst case was the same either way, and any other outcome was better than not trying a different path. Because even if it was a little better, it was still better. And if it was a lot better, well, I never imagined I would be where I am now. That's for sure.
So when exactly did you figure all this out and were you diagnosed?
The symptoms started when I was 17. That was the first time I fell asleep in public. As an adult.
Where were you?
I was actually in a classroom and I fell asleep on a microscope and I ended up with 2 black eyes because the weight of...
Oh my God, you poor thing.
It looked like I would be in a fight and I don't know how to fight anybody. I was so embarrassed. And how do you even explain that happening?
Right.
And I didn't know what was happening. And it wasn't until it took 5 years. So when I was 22, I finally got diagnosed. And get this, the reason I was diagnosed was when I moved to Ottawa, my very first friend, her name was Rebecca Bodner, and she had narcolepsy.
No way.
And we were hanging out. It was so fun. And she kept telling me, Michelle, you have narcolepsy. And I kept saying, Becky, you have narcolepsy. Like,
no way.
It's 1 in 2,000 people. It's just not possible. My first friend has this same rare thing. That's not how math works, right?
That's how the universe works.
Exactly. It was the most beautiful serendipitous thing because she bet me that I absolutely have narcolepsy, and she said that go get a sleep study. If I'm wrong, I will buy all the snacks for every sleepover for the rest of our lives. Remember, we're 22. That is a lot of snacks.
Yeah, for sure.
And if she was right, then I had to always give credit to Rebecca Bodner for me getting diagnosed with narcolepsy.
And there you have it. Thank
Promise
you, Becky.
kept.
Wow, that's wild. And so they discovered then after the sleep.
I got the sleep study and it's immediate diagnosis. It's extremely clear from the sleep study if you have narcolepsy or not.
Wow. And so how relieved did you feel once you had an answer to how you were feeling?
That's a good question. I felt 2 very separate ways. I had relief to have an answer, but I also felt crushed. Like, this is a life sentence. There is no cure. And even the treatments, they don't make you even close to normal, whatever that word is worth. So finding out what was wrong was great, but finding out I would have it forever was crushing.
For sure. So how did you take that news then and decide to like move forward in your life?
The first thing I did was have a great big cry about it because I had actually just bought my first car on an 8-year payment plan, which I do not recommend, by the way. Not a good choice. I was so proud of myself. And the first thing after you get diagnosed, right after saying you have narcolepsy, I'm taking your driver's license. It's the legal obligation of the physician. There's no arguing it. There's no negotiating. It is simply a fact. And so this car that was about 4 months old in the prime parking spot of the entire apartment building, right out the front doors, I had to stare at that thing every time I took my dog to pee for the rest of the time that I owned it.
That's really tough.
Heartbreaking.
That's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So how did you move past that?
I had to, it was back to that mentality of I can choose to stay here and worry and not take a chance of doing something different. And what will that outcome look like? Or I can try to do something different. I decided to start a business at that point because, hey, if your business fails, unemployed, living in mom's basement. If it succeeds even a little bit, it's a better outcome than not trying at all. And so that mindset of mine of you have to at least try, it's always worth it, even if it fails, came into play.
Wow. And so was it for you, would you say then, like you got rid of the fear of failure after telling yourself what that fear ultimately would be?
Exactly. It's really taking the power and the emotion out of fear by flipping it around and looking at it logically. Because fear is almost always of failure. So I looked at, well, what is the failure look like?
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, it's the same situation you're in already.
Interesting. So how else did your life kind of change and shift?
I mean, in terms of dating, I had a lot of insecurity at first, right? Like, oh, this is a disability and I'll have it forever. Who is ever going to love me? Who would ever want to deal with that? And how do you even explain it? When do you explain it?
Yeah.
Lots of self-doubt in there.
For sure.
So I was single for quite a while after being diagnosed as I was building my business. And then I was very fortunate. The 2 people I dated after being diagnosed were both already friends of mine.
Oh, wow.
So they knew me already. They'd already seen it. They heard the story. They saw what it was like. And they were able to make the decision that they were on board before anything romantic even started.
Oh, that's nice. Good. That is helpful. And I feel like that's like the best introduction to dating because you have that support from friendship first, right?
Absolutely. You already know what the person's like and how they treat other people, which I think is a very valuable insight to have.
For sure. And so how has it affected your relationships? I imagine there's like serious scenarios and then maybe some even comical scenarios.
Definitely. I mean, some of the stories that my husband can tell you where one of the symptoms with narcolepsy is your dreams intrude into wakefulness. So if I'm having a dream and I wake up, that dream can actually continue like actually in front of my eyes because my brain is still sleeping when my body is awake.
That's so interesting.
So the best one was once I was dreaming about, I was at a dog park and as there is at dog parks, there was poop on the ground. And so my husband had come in late to bed and he woke me up enough that they call them hypnagogic hallucinations, where sleep and wake, hypno, become one. And I started yelling to him. I was like, there's shit everywhere. There's shit everywhere. As he's laying down in the bed, I was like, move. And he jumps up and he's like, where? I'm like, it's everywhere. And he's panicked because he has no idea I'm still mostly asleep.
Yeah.
He's literally looking, like tearing our bed apart. But he's like, get out of the bed. And at that point, I wake up for real. And now I'm mad because I'm like, why are you waking me up? He's like, to clean up the poop. And I'm like, who pooped in our bed? Like, it's just so dramatic.
That's really funny, though. That's actually hilarious.
Yeah. Once the adrenaline calmed down, we both had a very good laugh about it because you have to in those scenarios.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you need to bring levity to those situations or else you can drive yourself crazy too.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think that's actually something that's benefited our relationship as a whole because we have situations like that happen. We've had to face a lot of kind of high emotion situations and get through them together, which is, it's good to practice that because no relationship, no life is smooth without bumps.
No, I think everyone, it's it's a roller coaster. You can love the person, be married for 100 years, and it will still be a roller coaster because life doesn't always go as you plan.
Absolutely
right?
not.
So it throws things at you all the time. So then was your husband one of your friends?
He was.
Okay.
So we met playing flag football.
Oh, that's fun.
And I only ended up playing that because one of my girlfriends, she wanted to find a man. She wanted a sporty guy. And so we were
like, sign up for all the sports.
We're like, what's the manliest sport? I'm 5'2", she's 5'2". Neither of us had touched a football since elementary school when they like make you play the different sports.
Yeah.
And we signed up, and somehow I got assigned the role of captain on top of it.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, this is where my competitive spirit came out. I was reading online, watching YouTube videos, how to flag football.
Wow.
And my team got all the way to the semifinals of the whole season.
So is it co-ed then?
It's co-ed. Okay. Yeah. So minimum 2 girls on the field at a time. And because I'm such a good wing woman, we only had 2 girls on our team.
Nice. You're a good thinker,
strategy.
Michelle. I appreciate it so much.
It's all about the efficiency of every situation.
Yes.
Yeah. The irony is she did not end up finding her man through that. But in the semifinals, the other team had this one incredible player. Okay, and he was wearing all pink, bright pink jersey with a matching bright pink shorts and knee-high pink socks.
I love that.
He tells me to this day it's Real Madrid's alternate jersey. But what I will tell you is he looked like the most flaming gay football player I've ever seen.
So your initial instinct then was like, not that guy.
Not that one, yeah. He's not the equation.
Oh, that's funny.
And even so, he was so good that when the game was over, I asked our best player, whose butt had been kicked by this guy, to go recruit him for our team for next year. I figured send over the hot guy to recruit. Well, I now
to try
know.
And pick up the gay guy.
Brilliant, right?
Brilliant.
Well, turns out I was totally off base because as he now tells this story, Nabil says the guy came over and he looked over his shoulder at our team and was like, oh, yeah. He was like, yes, I would like to join.
Yeah. Not a stupid guy.
No, he figured it all out. So that's how we first met, Nabil and I. And we then played the next season of flag football where he was on my team, and we really got along. We both were very business-minded, long-term goals, and he would come over with one of my other friends, and we would work in the coffee shop that was in my building and just have this dedicated working time where we'd each work on our own big projects and give each other advice. And he was so smart. We got along so well. I just thought he was the greatest guy. And then one day when we were both single at the same time, he sent me a text message that said, I'm in California right now for work, but when I get back, I'd really like to take you on a date.
That's really ballsy because that can make or break a friendship for sure.
It
Because
can.
like I admire that he did that so much because a lot of people wouldn't take the risk in fearing that you would be like, sorry, I don't feel that way about you.
That worst case scenario, right? Well, he did send his best friend undercover to ask me some incognito questions. So I think he had an inkling it would be a yes. And sure enough, I responded right away. I was like, I would love that. That would be great. And shortly later, he texted back and he said, I kind of wish that you would be able to come here so we could have the date sooner. And me, being the super direct person I am, I replied back and I said, you either want me to come or you don't. So if you do, tell me. And if you don't play games with me.
Yeah.
And I hit send. I was like, ooh, that was probably a bit too harsh. Like,
no,
oh, no.
I love that. No games.
No games. And he liked it too because he replied back and he said, I want you to come to California. Can you come tomorrow?
Stop.
Yeah. So I booked the next flight that was going the next morning. Booked it myself just in case.
Yeah.
That way I could come back. If,
you have the autonomy to leave should it not go according to plan.
I knew he wasn't a serial killer since we were friends, but I didn't want to be in an awkward position.
Yeah, for sure.
The more awkward part was calling my mom to ask her to take care of my dog because he wasn't a service dog at this point. It was the previous dog.
Okay.
And so I had to call her and say, hey, I'm going on a trip tomorrow. I just booked it, and I need you to babysit my dog. And also, the flight is so soon that I don't have time to drop him off at your house, so can you come get him from mine? She was like, where are you going? I was like, California. Oh, is that where Nabil is? Because I had told her about this super smart guy.
Your mom knew.
She says to this day, from day one that she heard his name, she knew that there was something up, and she was right. So off I went to California to have that first date.
What did you do on the first date?
He picked me up right from the airport, and immediately I was a bit confused because, like, he gave me a hug, but like one of those turned away hugs, like a super, like more of a friend than normal hug. And when we were in the car, I was reaching over kind of to the middle to be able to hold his hand, and he was just gripping that steering wheel. And we got some food quickly, and he sat on the opposite side of the booth, and again, just stayed really back.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish I could read those text messages right now to make sure, like, I didn't totally misread something, because he was so distant. Well, it was because he had this big plan. He took me up to the Golden Gate Bridge, up to the hill that overlooks it all, right when the sun was going down, and then he kissed me for the first time there.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
So he was so preoccupied with the plan and
he
getting
was.
that,
he was like looking at the timing, be like, what is the exact time of sunset? Yeah,
that's really sweet. Okay, so question, if we can backtrack for a second, Michelle.
Of course.
How long were you friends before it became romantic?
So we met in August for that very first time when he was on the other team, and our first date was that next, like within that same year, April 14th.
Okay, so that's not that long.
No, about 6 months, and it's not like we were best friends, like normal friends.
That's not long at all. And it's okay. So and then things progressed quickly.
Yeah, now that becomes a really long timeline compared to the rest. So I was there, and he had to go to work during the day. He was there working for Apple at the time. And so I did my work during the day, and then every evening we did something fun. And so another date, and over that, then we had 2 big dates on that weekend. And so it was 5 days of dates in a row.
Okay.
And on those dates, we were super serious. You mentioned earlier, right? It can ruin a friendship. So the only people that knew were each of our best friends and my mom. And we did that intentionally because we said, look, let's just go all in on this. If it works, we're probably going to get, like, we're getting married. Yeah. And if it doesn't, we're telling nobody. Yeah. Like, never did this happen. Yeah. So we were very serious on all of those dates. We had so much fun, and we bonded a lot. But the conversations, we went straight to the core of everything that mattered.
So tell me about that. What is the core of everything that matters? I know that seems so trivial of like asking that rather ridiculous question, but because it's obviously the questions are very different than when you were friends. So like, what was the more intimate, intense questions that you asked?
So we started with things like religion. He was raised Muslim, and we didn't do any religion in my household growing up. And so right away, I needed to know, one, is that an issue for your family? And both how I was raised and now. Would they expect me to be Muslim? What would that look like? And because that's an important conversation.
For sure.
And so we talked through that, and we were both on board with the answers. And so then we continue onwards to the next one. Things like kids. Do you want them? Is it a requirement? Would you be heartbroken if you didn't? Would you be, any more than 2 is too much? Like, not just like kids, yay or nay, but deep. Yeah. Truly deep. And even things as much as, if you do want kids, what happens if one of us can't? It's things that you normally would never ask for some people, until they're already married and it's now time to have kids. Right. And that is not the time you want to find out that you have a deep misalignment.
Right. Because that's what tears a lot of people up at the end of the day. Like we were saying even earlier, of like, it's like presenting all the scenarios and knowing your partner well enough to know which way they're going to lean or go towards before it happens, so that when it happens, you're equipped and you're like, okay, we got this. We know how to overcome this or move through this.
It's exactly removing that fear, because you know what the worst case scenario is. The one that a lot of people react pretty strongly to is we each logged into our online banking and exchanged phones. And here it all is.
Interesting. Hold on.
Yeah.
So you showed each other your full-on bank accounts and everything,
transactions, traded everything. The phones, like, go as deep as you want.
Wow. Yeah. And how did that go?
So before that, earlier in the day, we talked about things like debt, spending habits, income. So, I mean, first of all, thank goodness all of the answers for both of us aligned to what we'd said.
Yeah, because that would have been bad if you said one thing and then it shows something else.
To me, that would have instantly been, okay, thank you, handshake, goodbye. If I can't trust you about anything important, if you tell me something's true and it's not, that doesn't work for me.
For sure.
And everything was exactly like each of us had said it was, which was not only increased the trust, but also now the safety. We know the financial situation and the spending habits, and we're fine with what they are on both sides as well.
Wow, that's really cool. And it's really interesting that you decided to bring up money that early on too, because that's another point of contention and like what I think it's like the number 2 cause of divorce.
Exactly.
And did you know that? Is that why you wanted to kind of ask those questions?
That was exactly it. I looked at as you're seeing this pattern here. What are the biggest dangers? What are the things that could make this go wrong? And if we can gather the data in advance to make the best decision. And so if any of them had been major deal breakers for either of us, you shake hands. Thanks. This has been fun. Good luck. Let's still play football together.
Yeah.
But they weren't. We aligned on everything that mattered in terms of those core things: religion, kids, family, and money. All aligned.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
And this is maybe for a little bit of a selfish reason as well. What about like living, like where you were going to live? Was that a conversation and point of contention?
It was a fortunate situation for us. He already owned a townhouse. Now, it wasn't downtown like my amazing top floor all glass apartment, but my lease was up in, I believe, about a month and a half anyways. And he had a house. So at that point, it would have been just a bad money move to exit out of a house that was so new. So that made it an easy decision for us. But when I'm talking to friends about that type of thing for themselves, it always goes down to the logic for me. Mm-hmm. Cut the emotion out of it. Everyone loves their house. It's why they're there. Mm-hmm. But which one is financially best for the family, which is the way we refer to it? Like, we always want to do what's best for the family. What is that?
I love that. I say team. Same thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, we're on the same team. Let's play for the same team.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be those two players both jumping for the football at the same time and neither of you get it because you hit each other.
Exactly. We laugh at people like that.
Yes.
I do anyway.
Yes.
I'm a savage and I laugh at people like that. Okay. So after you had those very honest and raw and real conversations, then how did you kind of wrap up the trip?
So we actually then went into kind of the flip side, like in terms of our flaws, because all those core things were there. And so for me, it was, what do you need out of me as a partner that even, that is a deal breaker? Like, it's super important to you. And for him, he wanted someone who would help him be his true self, not have his one way he was with his family and then the rest of his life. He wanted to be truly himself, and it was important to him.
Yeah.
And he saw that that's something that I was strong at in my life. And so I said, okay, like, you're sure you're not going to take backsies on this?
Yeah.
And, we shook hands and then, of course, kissed, but you got to seal a deal with a handshake.
Of course.
Just good business. And for me, it was the narcolepsy side. It was we can't get a few months into this and then you tell me that, like, actually I can't deal with this. I can't have someone who, at least once every 2 weeks, I sleep for an entire day. I don't take any medicine so that I can keep it working optimally. Mm-hmm. And that means that's an entire day that I don't get to be fun with you. I'm not gonna be helping with housework. Like, if you're going to have resentment over that, I need us to just stop this now.
Yeah.
And again, shook hands and we both kept our parts of the deal.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that. The raw honesty and vulnerability, like, and sharing that. Is it because you didn't want to waste time, or was it just because you're like, if I'm going to get into the relationship, like, marriage is the end game, so I'm not fooling around?
It's a great question. I had 2 longer term relationships, both over 1.5 years each before him, and they were both fine. There was nothing wrong, and they weren't my perfect match, and I wasn't theirs. Mm-hmm. But because nothing bad was happening, it felt so weird to even think about ending a relationship just because it's okay.
Yeah.
Or not great. So this time around, I didn't want to put myself in that situation again, and I didn't want to do that to someone else either, hold them back from their future wife. Mm-hmm. And that's why we call it marriage-minded dating. Like, we both wanted to get married to the right person. Let's find out as quickly as we can, are we each other's right person? And if not, off we go and good luck.
Yeah. Do you think that that's what's kind of like missing in society today as to why there are, say, like a rise in divorce rates and why dating is just hard altogether?
So hard. And often people are dating for many, 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 many years or staying engaged for many, many, many years.
Right.
That is definitely not what we did. And I think, although some couples, it's whether it's financial or situational for some reason, but most, I think it's because it's probably not actually the right long-term relationship for them, but because it's not bad, there's no blow-up fight, nobody's cheating, it feels weird to end it. So people stay. They don't take the chance. They don't take the risk.
How did you know when to leave those prior relationships, or if that was your decision?
Yeah, both. It was for both, and ironically for both, it was a fight that wasn't even that dramatic, but it was enough that I was like, "Yeah,
perfect excuse."
Gotta go.
Yeah, I hear you.
So childish.
No,
saying
not
it
at
now.
all. So, sometimes it just makes it easy to bring up, how you're feeling. Of like, I've been feeling like this. This makes it certain. It gives you. I've been there. I've done that as well. So I totally get it. Yeah. Okay, so you're having all these conversations. You come back and then you move in.
I do, which is wild. But I wanted to make sure, for sure, he could handle living with a person with narcolepsy. It's one thing when it was 5 days, it was in a fun place.
Right. Vacation living is very different than home living.
Right. You eat the food and then you put the dishes outside in the hallway and someone magically takes them away. That's not normal life.
Right.
So we wanted to just live together because that is the other thing that breaks people up. They might be so compatible, but the little nuances and habits can be too much, too annoying. And so I wanted, and he wanted, like, let's see right now, like, do you leave your towel on the floor and that makes me want to lose my mind? Or in my case, are you going to use my beautiful tea towels that I put out for display on the floor?
Yeah.
He only made that mistake once.
I hear you.
Like, let's work through those things together.
Yeah. And so what was it like working through those things together? Have you ever lived with someone prior?
I had both of the other two prior. And again, with this, because it was in this marriage-minded mindset, we had conversations sooner. So rather than things boiling up to the point where he was so frustrated because I left the towel on the bed, which I will not do ever again. But I just did it out of habit, right? I was drying my hair out, put it on the end of the bed. That's what I did. And for him, he's like, I hate having dampness on my bed. It makes me cringe. And so normally he probably would have let that pent up until one day you would just be walking in the room and be like, and you leave your towel on the bed like an animal, versus just being, hey, hun, I've noticed that you're leaving it there. For me, that really bugs me because I don't like when my bed's wet. Would you mind just hanging it up? I can put a bar up if you need. Like, how can we make this work so calm versus letting things boil over, which is what happens in most scenarios when you're not thinking we have to find and deal with these things as quickly as possible.
Yeah. It's so hard to take like emotion out of things. How do you do that?
You've got to figure out what the goal is. The goal for us was marriage, whether it was with each other or someone else. And that meant that there's still lots of emotion. It was very romantic. It was very wonderful. But it allowed us to...
like heightened bad emotions.
Exactly.
I will say that. Of
like
losing your mind. Because as often, like I'll say for my personal, like as much as I really try to approach things from a very calm, from explanation and reason, there is something that like a demon that sometimes takes over and things happen,
So common. So we were actually talking about this just yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a saying that we both really like, which is that you don't have to tell the truth right away. So if you're in that heightened state where you can feel like, that like fire in your face.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, or you can't quite take that deep breath, or you can't quite feel your fingertips. You're like, oh, that's that demon. Let's just take it for a walk out here. And we can come back in an hour or something when we're in a calm, loving time and say, hey, earlier when you said this, I'm sure you didn't mean to make me feel bad, but it did. Can we talk about that? And now you can come at it from this place of, I know you're not the person that hurts me intentionally. Because if they are, you wouldn't be with them or shouldn't be.
Right.
But in the moment, I know very few people that can be that calm in the moment. And yet most things don't actually have to be addressed that moment. You can wait an hour or two until the energy between you is stronger.
Yeah.
Positive stronger.
Positive stronger, yes. In a more mellow state, for sure.
Yeah, bonded.
Yes, yes. Okay, so the living then was going good.
Really well, yeah. And we both shared a dream. We both wanted to buy a dream car, a sports car. And they were two different ones. And we were going to go together to look at each of ours. And we tried mine. And
okay, what was yours?
Mine was a Lotus Exige, which is like a go-kart that looks like a Ferrari.
Yep, I've seen it.
So cute, so powerful, so beautiful. And my butt hurt so bad after a 20-minute drive because the seats have almost no padding, so it can be super fast.
Got it.
The passenger door doesn't open properly, and it doesn't even have, you can't even roll down the window on it because that's too much extra weight.
Oh, wow.
And the driver one is a hand crank, like the kind we all had in our cars in the 90s.
Yeah, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it was super sexy from the outside, but it had all of these deal breakers in the inside. And then we tried his dream car, which was an Aston Martin V8 Vantage.
Nice.
And that beautiful car is the one that we bought. Right then and there, I put it on my insurance.
Stop.
He got the loan on his side, and we drove it home together.
And there was no point of like, should we do this? Like, what happens if we break up? Or
we had the logical conversation. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I put the loan on one side, which is if this goes the way that it should be going and looks like it is, we're going to be married, so it'll be both of ours anyways.
Got it.
And if it doesn't, at least this is a clean way that we can separate.
Got it.
But
Okay.
it was that the decision was being made together of getting the car and the timing because it was going to affect both of us. If he had taken on that type of expense on his own without talking to me,
it's not an inexpensive purchase.
No, it is not.
A very cool purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what happened?
After that, we went on another trip back to California. He had work again, and I was not being separated from him, and vice versa. So I went with him. And you know how traffic is. We're here in Toronto. It's the exact same in San Francisco. You've got to leave super early, and you might barely make it, or you might be 3 hours early. Well, when we got to the airport, we were about 3 hours early. So we went to the outlet mall that was right by it, and we started at the first store, then the second, then the third, and somewhere along the line was a jewelry store. Well, at that point, it would have been weird to not go in because we went into the luggage store next door.
Yeah.
And the kitchen gadget store.
Yeah.
So we went in, and the lovely sales guy started asking about rings and what would you like? I'm like, oh, well, the kind I like is marquee, but most stores never have one. And he was like, actually, I have one. And he showed it, and it was fine. But I was like, it was just a solitaire. It's like a bit too simple. He's like, okay, I have one in the back. Let me go get it. And he went and he got it. And it was so beautiful. It was the most beautiful one I had ever seen. And he said, the thing is that this was custom ordered by someone. They paid the half up front and they never came back. And it was like a long time ago now. So he's like, if you like this, like you have got to buy it. It would be ridiculous to buy it because it's July. We started dating back in April.
Right.
Like, come on.
That's very quick. Not ridiculous, just unexpected.
Very, very. And so I laughed, and I then was messaging my best friend the whole time, keeping her in the loop on all the dresses and things I was trying on in the other stores. And I told her about the ring. She was like, do you love it though? I'm like, well, yeah, but it's one of a kind. So clearly it won't be this one.
Yeah.
And then I'm in the next store, and Nabil's given me like 17 different things to try on. And some of them are like a large, some of them are a triple small. I'm like, what is this? He's just like got me in this change room.
Trying to get all the things to keep you occupied.
Exactly. And I did not
brilliant.
see it. I did not get it. And he even told the ladies who were working there, he's like, this is what I'm going to go do. Like, do not let her leave this change room. Do not let her see that I'm gone. And so sure enough, I was just trying to get into his clothes and laughing and be like, what even is this? My best friend's like, show me pictures because she's in on it now too.
Yeah.
And Nabil went back and he bought that ring. He bought it.
Oh my God.
And then he had to hide it, of course, into his suitcase.
That's so stressful.
Mm-hmm. And the wildest part is that he had to go back because apparently there's something with his credit card, probably because of the high US dollar purchase out of the blue.
For sure.
As
for
it
sure.
should be. So it didn't go through at first. And then he had to come back and get me because I was texting like, oh, I can't find you. And we then are at the car and he has to go back now. It's finally all cleared up. He has to go back and get the ring. So he's like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, okay. 20 minutes later, he's still not back.
God.
And I'm there being like, am I going to miss a plane because this guy is like having diarrhea or something? Like, what is this? Meanwhile, he's securing the ring to propose to me.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Yeah. So he bought that in July. And then on November 23rd is when he proposed.
And okay, we need a story here. How did he propose?
So it was the middle of the night when our friend woke us up. He was living with us. He'd originally been a tenant, but it's weird to call him that. He was like a roommate at that point.
Yeah.
And he knocked and he said, my cousin's in the hospital. Like, we got to go. And I was, whoa, okay, we got to go. And so I put on just clothes from the floor of my closet, dirty clothes, because it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And off we go. And then he's driving, and then he doesn't take the exit to the hospital. And I don't realize it at first because it's so foggy.
Yeah.
The universe was conspiring here.
Yeah.
It was only when we were pulling up to the airport and I realized that it was the airport that I said, oh, like, this is the wrong spot. Like, you missed the exit for the hospital.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, I'll just turn around up here because airports are circle. And so, great. And so he's pulling up and then he stops. He's like, have a good trip. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I was in on it. It's a surprise. And I was like, fucking asshole.
Wow.
I was so angry. I was like, I thought your cousin was dying.
Oh
like
my
his 16-year-old kid was
That's
dying.
crazy.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I had to get you up, Miss Narcolepsy, in the
That's
middle of the night.
actually a very clever lie, though. And I love how gullible you are. You're just like, yeah, whatever you need me, I'm here.
And there I am then in my dirty workout clothes from the day before.
Oh my God.
At the airport. I'm like, oh.
Did you have a bag? Did he pack a bag for you?
They had hidden the bag.
Of course they did in the
Yeah.
car. I love that.
Yeah, my friend to take me out for
This
coffee.
is like movie shit. I love it.
It was. And I had gone out with my mom 2 days before, and at the salon, they'd chosen the color for my nails. They said, hey, we got this new brand, and we want to try it. It's this blue. What do you think? I was like, great, awesome. Again, super gullible. And it wasn't until later when we got to our destination when I realized it was the same color as the villa that was there that we rented. And so I have this picture where I'm holding up my nails against the post. I'm like, oh, look, it matches. He's like, oh, what a coincidence.
That is so funny.
And it all.
Okay, so sorry. Was Nabil there then?
No, he was with me.
Okay, so he was at the airport. He met you at the airport.
He was actually in the vehicle with me because we were living in the same house.
Okay. So you went there. He went with the lie until you got there, and then got it.
And unfortunately, the thing about not knowing where you're going is it gets awkward when you get to customs because
you're like being captured.
I'm this poor man, this poor border agent, right? We go up, Nabil goes through, he's already on the other side, and I'm there, and he's like, and the agent's like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, how long are you going for? I don't know. Honey, how did you get here? What's going on here? And Nabil had said, he's like, please don't, like, he gave me my ticket and my passport, of course. Yeah. He's like, please don't look. Don't ruin the surprise. I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's that guy right there. And for the record, my husband is North African. He is brown. His last name is Old Brahim. And he will be the first one to tell you that when he got his Nexus card, he was happy to have a I'm not a terrorist card.
Yeah, I get it.
I get
it. For sure. I get it.
Yeah. So there I am, little blonde girl. And I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, when or why, but that brown guy is taking me.
You're like, yeah, I trust him for sure. And you should too.
That's it. So the agent was like, and you're happy about it. Like,
you're willingly choosing this.
So happy, so excited. He's like, okay, good luck. Bye.
That's hilarious.
And we got on a plane, and it was, when you get on, they're like, yeah, and our destination, the weather is da-da-da. It was Puerto Rico. We were going to Puerto Rico.
Beautiful.
So cool. And when we got there, it was the most beautiful villa, and my birthday was the next day. So I thought, and he let me believe it was a birthday trip, which is already so over the top, but so cool.
Yeah.
Well, joke's on me, because even though I had a great birthday, 2 days later, we got on a smaller plane and went to the island of Vieques, where they have this bioluminescent bay, where just a couple times a month, you can see these little creatures in the water that when the water moves, it glows. So the whole bay glows.
That is so cool.
So cool. And the best part is that the reason he chose there is because back when we were just friends, we were talking about travel. And he said, is there anywhere you would go again? Because I've been lots of places. And I said, there's lots of places I would recommend for other people to go. But for me, I don't really like going to the same place twice. There's such a big world out there. But one exception would be Puerto Rico. Because when I went there, it wasn't the right time of year to go see this super cool place, the bioluminescent bay. And so he remembered that from back when we were friends. And that's why he chose it.
Special. Oh my God, that's so special. Yeah. And then he got down on one knee.
Well, we were in kayaks actually at the time.
Oh,
so he was
that makes it hard.
Yeah. And so he had this little boat that he had with us. And I don't even know how, but I did not see this coming. I think I was just already so excited. It was so special.
It's magical. You're nothing else matters or could, I need to focus on.
It's already joyful. And so he puts this boat in the water and I see it and I start to laugh. I'm like, you're such a boy. Like, of course, boys and their toys. He wants to zoom around this boat and make the things glow more. And then all of a sudden the boat stops and he's like, oh, I need you to check it. I think it's stuck on something. And so we went over and I picked it up. He's like, is there anything stuck on the bottom? And I was thinking like seaweed, right? Like, I was like, no, there's nothing. He's like, wait, what? What? There's nothing? Are you sure?
Oh my God. Then his heart's sinking, thinking the ring sank to the bottom of the ocean.
Yes. And so then he's like, really? Check. And I was like, oh yeah, there's something. And he's like, oh, thank God. And I open it and I can't really see the ring there, but I could tell it's a ring box. And then he says some beautiful speech that unfortunately I basically blacked out because I was just so happy.
As one does. It's okay.
I've heard that from so many women and guys put all this pressure to build this great thing and I appreciate they did it, but if it's not videoed, no one's remembering.
No recollection.
And it wasn't until we were back after the canoeing and after all that excitement that I actually was able to see the ring in the light of the truck. And I bawled because I was like, wow, you got a replica of the one that I loved. And he's like, no, I got the one that you loved. All the way back then.
That's so special. Yeah. Wow. I love that story. That literally is like a movie. It sounds like a fairy tale.
Yeah, he's very romantic and very thoughtful and likes to plan big gestures. And I am very gullible and go along on the ride.
Yeah,
so
you're like the perfect person to do those things for, literally. Yeah. Oh, that's really special. So when did you get married? Soon after?
So that was on the 23rd.
Because I feel like this is a trend in your relationship.
Right? And everything's getting closer and closer and closer. So the 23rd of November is when he proposed. The 21st of December is when we got legally married in our living room with just his parents and my parents and the officiant. Nobody else.
Wow. Yeah. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, nobody knew except for that core group either.
How come? Did you always want it to be like that? Or just you're like, I want this to be just very intimate?
So we wanted to have an intimate one before the end of the year. 2 reasons. One, we noticed a lot of our friends when they had their big weddings, the whole first half they were so nervous. Basically until everything gets signed and is legal, they weren't as joyful in that beginning part as they could have been. Mm-hmm. And we also knew that wedding planning is so stressful.
Yes.
And so we figured if we're already legally married, we're already officially that team that you mentioned. So it's going to make it just emotionally easier. Mm-hmm. And the other reason is taxes. So Nabil had got a big signing bonus from Apple and I had big medical expenses. And so if we were married before the end of the year, that was more of a return that we could then use for the wedding.
Yeah.
Strategic and romantic.
I love it. Both complement each other so well. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. So then you had the big celebration the following year.
We did. We had it in April on the 1-year anniversary of our first date.
Oh my God. The cuteness continues. That's so sweet. And so your anniversary is coming up.
Yeah, our legal one is coming up just in a few days.
That's so nice. That's really nice. Do you do anything special to celebrate?
So on the private one, we always do something like buy a new board game or something to play just the two of us. We'll have a romantic dinner at home, just the two of us. Because that original one was just so small and intimate, we keep it that way. And then the public one that everyone writes about on Facebook and shares the big memories. And when we do the bigger thing is the one that's in April.
I love that idea. I love of just making it about you. And so did you tell anybody else that you did that? Or did you just keep it between you guys and your family?
Yeah, it was, I think in the end, each of our best friends, we told them in the end because they started asking questions and we weren't going to lie about it. They started asking questions like, but
I mean, you could have if you wanted to.
Yeah. We would have to be really creative, though, because we asked the two of them, like, oh, can they essentially be the officiants of the wedding?
Right.
Like, that's not legal, Michelle and Nabil. And we're like, oh, but here's kind of the thing.
Got it.
The fun part, though, was after we got legally married on that same night, all of our closest friends came over for our engagement party. And so they were celebrating
they didn't know that they were at a wedding.
Which just mean all of the joy. It allowed us to keep that deeper level of joy for us and yet still celebrate with all the people that we love.
How did you keep that in? I would be like a couple drinks in, blah, blah, blah. I'm actually very, I wouldn't be able to hold that in.
Yeah, big secret. We didn't want to take the excitement of the big wedding away for anyone else.
Yeah.
So that's how we were able to frame it in our minds of
Michelle,
special.
You're so wise. Oh, seriously, so wise. Okay, I want to talk about the other love of your life, Miss Quinn over here.
My baby.
How did you meet Quinn?
So Quinn is my second Great Dane service dog, and she was bred and chosen for this purpose. So we found the breeder, the best Great Dane breeder in Canada, all the way across the country in Vancouver. And when the puppies were 7 weeks old, they did the personality test, the temperament test on them. So they do different things and see how the dogs react. And that's something that ethical breeders do to help match dogs with family.
Right.
So, for example, some dogs are super stubborn, strong-willed. You would never give that to someone who is single and they've never had a dog and it's their first one. Mm-hmm. That's just mean to do.
Totally.
And some dogs really love kids. That's perfect for a family. So Quinn ended up coming out as the best service dog prospect.
Wow.
And so we knew we were getting one of them, and we didn't even know for sure which until we got there. And the moment that each of us saw her, we were in love with her. Nabil didn't want another dog yet, but we had to because my other one was getting older and needed to retire soon. But the moment he met her, he was in love.
Aww.
Just like me.
That's so sweet. Okay, I want to backtrack just a little bit, Michelle.
Yeah.
How did you explore the idea of having a service dog, and how does that help with narcolepsy as like a... Before we get to, sorry, Quinn, you're going to have to hang tight.
Let's go back to Max, the original. So I actually didn't even know you could have a service dog for narcolepsy. And at the time, I didn't even know I had it. I had just adopted a dog I had no business having. Did the typical early 20s move where, I was overwhelmed with my life. There was so much going on. So let me adopt a giant creature that when I can barely take care of myself. Great idea. Right? Story of how so many of us born in the 90s ended up with a dog when we were 20.
For sure.
And so I did that. And then this dog, he kept doing the weirdest thing. He kept grabbing my arm with his mouth and making me sit down. And it would always happen at the times where I was getting super, super, super sleepy.
Wow.
And it's funny because I did not pick up on the pattern at the time, probably because I had just decided I was shutting down, worrying about these mystery symptoms because no doctor figured it out anyways at that point. And he kept doing it and doing it. And then after I was diagnosed, he did it to my friend Becky as well, who also has narcolepsy.
Wow.
And that was the moment that we put it together that this dog had known before any of us and that he was telling me to sit down before I fell down.
Wow.
And he's a rescue dog. And my belief is that he wanted to stay in the family. And I've heard stories often about veterans with PTSD where they get a dog when they get home and these dogs start doing service work without being taught to. And I truly believe it's because they want to find a role that isn't being filled in that family and fill it so that they can stay.
Yeah.
And that was Max as well.
Oh, that's so sweet. So he became a service dog.
Yep. And so it took years of training on the public access side for him to be able to work in public because he had this skill.
Poor guy.
Well, this sweet, sweet boy, he was afraid of everything. Plastic bags, bow tie, men, leaves, squirrels, cars, garbage, like everything. So everything you see in public, never mind going into a grocery store or something. Now it's a whole other realm. And so we had to work through every one of those fears and really build his confidence. And that took years. But he was so motivated. He wanted to do that job. And I'm someone, when I love someone, I go all in, clearly.
I love that. That's really special. Yeah. And then Quinn came in as well when you needed her.
Yeah, Quinn came when it was time. Max was getting older, and Great Danes live to 6 to 7 is the average.
Well,
and
that's a short lifespan.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
Max was 10 when Quinn came. So I'd already gambled quite a lot. And so when she came, we had both of them working for a while. which first she was small and then she got really big. And then I had two 120-pound dogs.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a lot.
A lot. You better believe that if we walked at night, people cross the street. They're like, no, sir, I'm not messing with her.
But the irony is that they're probably so sweet. I mean, Quinn,
Yeah.
even when I first met her when she walked in, I was like, she's so sweet and super calm.
Yes, that's all that training.
Yeah.
So when she is not working, she is wild.
Yeah.
She is. She takes after her dad, and she likes to do agility. So hoops and tunnels and jumps. She likes dock diving, swimming, all the wild things.
Yeah.
But when she is working, she's very serious and quiet, as you can see.
Has there been an instance where she is like quite literally like saved your life, or maybe a close call or something like that?
Yeah, I would say the closest would be there's a symptom of narcolepsy called cataplexy. So it's a temporary muscle paralysis caused by strong emotions, particularly something like laughter. So the way I describe it is if my brain's thinking I'm having a dream, it goes, oh, shoot, she should be frozen. Because when you're dreaming in sleep, you're in REM, meaning only your eyes can move. The rest of your body is frozen. And so that is what essentially the cataplexy is. It's a freezing, but you're actually still awake.
Interesting.
Very. So ironically, your body is trying to keep you safe, and by doing that, it does something dangerous. So Quinn has alerted when, for example, I was at the top of the stairs or an escalator, the type of place that if I had fallen down, it could have been extremely dangerous and not just some bumps and bruises.
For sure. That's really scary.
Yeah.
But I'm sure having her, do you feel this sense of kind of calmness and safety?
Definitely safety. So since I had Max and then also Quinn, I have not fallen asleep in public once. And
really?
That's life-changing. That alone is life-changing. It's so dangerous to fall asleep in public, but especially as a woman, that's just painting a target, unfortunately.
For sure.
Yeah, so they will let me know about 15 minutes before I'm going to get too sleepy and fall asleep.
That's just incredible that they have this sense.
Amazing. It's some sort of scent that we've noticed that they're always sniffing. And sometimes you'll see the sniffing and then they back off, and other times the sniffing and then you'll see a paw. So in my video where I won the Inspirational Speaker of the Year, during that speech, she started sniffing and then alerting. And so the moment I got off stage, I took off my heels because I was like, if I fall over, I cannot be breaking an ankle. And then I ran down the hall to go to my bag to get the medication that can help me stay awake. And so it was very cool to get it captured on multiple cameras like that in front of an audience, because I think it will really help people see exactly how it works and what service dogs do.
For sure. That's very brave of you to also share that and put yourself in that position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very much, when I first started having Max as a service dog, it was about 6 to 7 years ago. And everywhere I went, it was at least 80% negative and sometimes horrific comments that would be made.
Really? Like what?
So many of, well, you look normal. There's no dogs allowed here. I would say it's a service dog, and they're like, no, it's not. I'm like, but it is. Like, it is. Or, oh, service dogs don't look like that. Or, well, you're not blind, so it's not a service dog. So much misinformation. And some people are just mean people, period. And they would say
things.
You
had to deal with that.
It was awful at the time. I remember the first time that a taxi flat out refused to take us. It was raining at the time. I had just bought this pair of shoes that I was so proud of. I'd reached a business milestone, and they're glittery Jimmy Choo sneakers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I got the taxi coming so that I wouldn't have to get them wet nor myself. And the guy was like, absolutely not. You're not coming in this vehicle. And I said, like, well, it's a service dog. He's like, I don't actually even care. Wow. And then he drove off.
Wow.
And it was after a big event. It was at a conference. And so there was already a whole other line of cars and everything. And so we ended up having to walk home in the rain because someone discriminated against us. And I didn't know how to handle it. It was the first time that it was so blatant, where they clearly stated they did know better and they still didn't care.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that really are the hardest. Over the years, I've realized that I've gotten more used to it. I know what to say back. I will fight.
I was literally just going to ask you, what do you say in response now?
Yeah. So even with all the traveling we're doing, there'll be plenty of times where it'll be an Uber or taxi or Lyft, any of them. And they'll try and say like, oh, like no dogs. Oh, I'll say, oh, it's a service dog. Like, yeah, but it's really big or it'll shed. I'm like, that's not how the law works. And then I say nothing and I just stare.
Love that.
And almost every single time at that point, they're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like, oh, shoot. And then when that doesn't work, even at things like hotels, at this point, I'd be like, do you want to Google me?
Yeah.
Because there is so much now. It's like, if you don't believe she's real, Google me. You will see very clearly that she is. But it doesn't matter actually what they believe. The law is the law. And so when I provide the legal proof that's required in Ontario, that's it. As long as she's behaving properly, which of course she is, the law protects us the same as a wheelchair.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that there are laws in place to protect that. Like that's really actually very nice to hear. But it's really too bad how misinformed and I'll say ignorant people are.
Yeah, and that's where things like this opportunity is so great because we got to talk about some funny stuff and some romantic stuff, and then we get to have this advocacy in here. And my hope is that there's at least one person listening that they will come across a situation like this in the future. They will see someone being discriminated against, and there is no greater joy, no bigger feeling of support than when a bystander steps in and says, that's not the law. That's discrimination. When someone else stands up for you, it completely changes the power balance of the situation. And in every instance it's happened with me, they immediately acquiesce and follow the law.
Wow. You know what? It's interesting because when kids do that, when, interfere with a bully, let's just say, it's very powerful and can change the trajectory of a kid's life.
Yes.
But you don't often see that. I think that gets lost in adulthood because people are afraid to offend or involve themselves. And yet I feel like if anything, life should teach us that we need to do that more. I don't think we do that enough.
That's such a powerful observation. It's absolutely something that is lost somewhere around age 14. I feel like we stopped doing it, probably out of fear, right? I don't want to get involved. What if they then turn on me? But we're telling kids to stand up for bullies, even if they're worried that they'll get involved too. And yet, as adults, we don't do it. Why?
It's true. That's very true. Yeah, I hope more people do it. That's for sure. What would you say, Michelle, is the biggest misconception about narcolepsy?
The time to diagnosis for narcolepsy is 7 to 15 years, depending on the country you're in.
Wow.
And are you ready for this? Even crazier. They say that 40% of people with narcolepsy will never get diagnosed.
Wow.
So when I think about my life and the fact that I was fortunate enough to be diagnosed after 5 years, even if it had just been an extra 5 to get to the middle of that average, that was so much of the time that I built up the base that formed my life today. And I cannot imagine what it would be like still being in that state of constant exhaustion, no answers, and giving up searching. So I think the biggest misconception is that yes, it is rare, but it's not that rare. It is as common as Parkinson's or MS.
Wow.
And that's just with the number that are diagnosed already. We almost all know at least one person, if not multiple, that have those.
For sure. I do. For sure. Yeah.
Chances are you also know someone with narcolepsy, but they probably don't know that they're diagnosed yet. So looking at that cataplexy, that temporary muscle paralysis, anyone who's listening, whether it's you or a friend or family member, if someone laughs really hard and their legs give out, you see that on comedy shows a lot. I thought that's happened to everybody because of the comedy shows. But actually, it's not normal. That's just a thing actors do to be extra. And so if it does happen to you, that's a big flag that narcolepsy is probably happening. And a great way that you can differentiate between the exhausted state we all have and something far more serious in narcolepsy.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You have a book out. You are all over the world speaking. What is next for you? What is like the dream for you? Tell me.
The big dream came the other day. I've thought about it before. I always wanted a documentary, whether it's actually about me and Quinn or me and the next puppy that gets trained. But someone wrote a comment the other day about one of my videos, and they said, "Oh, you remind me of a Disney princess and her princess dog."
I see where this is going.
And
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't. And when
surprisingly,
it doesn't. There is nothing, especially if it's an invisible disability, especially if it's a girl, and especially a girl dog. All the famous Great Danes are boys. There's Clifford the Big Red Dog, Scooby-Doo, Astro, all those 90s ones. It's time for a 2020 female Great Dane character and her trusty sidekick.
Obviously. Oh, I love that. So you're going to write something, pitch something? Because you should.
You know what? I feel like the right person is certainly going to be listening.
I was just going to say, we're putting the vibes out there, listening. Michelle is here. That would be fantastic. Oh my God, I love that. I love that. Do you have more books, do you think, in store as well?
So part of my prize that I just won is a $20,000 book contract. So I'll have to write another one.
That's fantastic.
And it's going to be on the topic of accessible high performance. So that's a term that I created in that I believe high performance is accessible for everyone. Despite me having a disability, even before I was diagnosed, those things that I did to be able to work that best for me and get the most efficiency out of everything I do has allowed me to be an extremely high performer compared to anyone my age, never mind with a disability. And so that mindset of it's not just for the 1%, it's not just for the super athletes or the genetic abnormalities or the people that have, a super supportive family. Like, we all have something, and accessible high performance is about identifying the ways you can leverage your difference to be more powerful and a higher performer.
That's beautiful. I love that.
And then, my current book is Don't Snooze Your Dreams, Lessons from Life with Narcolepsy. And it, as you said, is a bestseller.
And you can get it online?
You can. And I actually brought a copy for you.
Really?
Yeah. Right here.
Yay. Thank you so much. I love the cover.
Can you recognize the model?
I see the model. There is an uncanny similarity between the two right here. But this is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
I
my
can't wait to
pleasure.
read this. And I'm going to ask you to sign it. I'm going to be a nerd and get you to sign it for me.
Deal.
As well.
I love that.
Can you? Okay. That's very cool. Congratulations on all your success. I wish you nothing but the best. Book 2, you have to come back. Movie, come back.
Deal.
And just any time really for the three of us to hang. I would really
love
like it.
Love it. This has been really, really fun.
Where can people find you to get more information, follow you, all the things?
So my website has all the links. It is michelleweger.com, Weger. And all my socials are Michelle A. Weger. And then Quinn is Dane on a Plane on Instagram and TikTok.
There you go. Yeah. So sorry, as a side note, before we wrap this up, you were saying that she flies like as an economy. So you might also see
if
Quinn
you
on a
see
plane.
a giant Great Dane on a plane, it's probably us.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been great.